Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you clicking on that video as always. So we're here with episode 7 of my weekly wears, and this is what I wore last week. I feel it was a good mix of fragrances this week where we're just getting into springtime here, and there were some warmer days, there were some rainy days, scents that I'll probably be wearing in the spring and summer this year. So without further ado, let's get into it. So I have to shout out my friend Justin on me finding this one for so cheap. I actually found it for 20 bucks. It is a high-end designer fragrance. Beautiful vetiver fragrance scent I'm talking about. Terre d'Hermes Eau Intense Vetiver. Justin actually, he's a subscriber to the channel and we grew up together, and he's actually out of the country at the moment. But shout out to Justin. He told me about a really good flea market, believe it or not. Now, I wouldn't normally think flea market when I'm looking for fragrance, but I took my daughter there and we kind of just, it was a decent day out. So we were strolling around and that's where I found this fragrance. And I've talked about it a little bit before. It made my 5 best, or one of my 5 best for spring of 2022. And I absolutely love this one. So he had told me about this flea market. I went, obviously, if you guys have never been to a flea market, there's usually a bunch of tables set up, different vendors. And there was this gentleman there who had maybe about 4 or 5 fragrances, a couple Kenneth Coles. This one caught my eye. It was still packaged, still in the cellophane. And I asked him how much for the, I believe this is the 50 mil. And yeah, this is the 50 mil, 1.6. And I asked him how much and he said 20 bucks. He said it's probably worth more, but I haven't had time to look them up. And I said, well, I guess I'll grab it. So I grabbed it, 20 bucks. Great atomizer. I mean, this is just citrus, woody, aromatic fragrance. I get a ton of vetiver. It's that sort of earthy, rooty vetiver, but it's also clean and bright at the same time with that citrus up top. And it's a bit spicy with some Szechuan pepper, I believe, in this. But this fragrance, at first, I did not like. I tried it, I wanna say I was at a Sephora, and I tried it on a strip, and it was just too earthy for me, too rooty, too dirty. And I just wasn't there yet. My nose wasn't there yet. That was a while back, but now I've had time with it and I love it. And it's just, I'm a fan of vetiver, and although it's super intense up top, it has a lot of brightness to it from the citrus and it balances out nicely. And that rooty vetiver does stick around for a while, but as it dries down, this scent just gets beautiful. And it's just such a classy, gentlemanly scent that I think any guy would be happy to have this in their collection. And it's really classy. You could wear this casually, you could wear this dressed up, but it probably leans a bit more towards the dressy side of things. But with that being said, with it being springtime just around the corner here, the warm weather, we are in spring, but with the warm weather just around the corner, for parts of the Northeast where I am. So I get really good longevity off of this as well. I get about 7 or 8 hours, and it has good projection. I get wafts of this as the day goes on. So a lot of times reviewers will say they get 8 or 9 hours, but you have to bury your nose to be able to smell it. So technically, yes, the fragrance is still sticking around, but this one I find you get projection from it for 5 or 6 hours. So you're getting wafts of it as the day goes on, depending on how you spray. And I love that. That's for me, that's probably the most important part of performance versus just straight beast mode longevity. I like to get subtle wafts of it as the day goes on. So yeah, this one, absolute go-to this spring. I love it. Terre d'Hermes Eau Intense Vetiver. So on Monday, I went with probably my favorite fragrance that was released in 2021. Absolutely love this one. I have a backup bottle of it because it, as far as I know, it's been discontinued. was speaking with a couple L'Oreal representatives in my local Macy's just last week, and they were under the impression as well that this has also been discontinued, which they don't understand because they literally had it in store for like 5 minutes. They didn't have it there very long. Scent I'm talking about is Bleu Electrique from Yves Saint Laurent. And this scent, guys, is incredible. The hype is real on this one. It has a ton of hype behind it. But I was a huge fan of the original La Nuit de l'Homme. I love that scent. And this, to me, is, I don't want to say a better version of that, but I get better longevity from this. I get a bit better projection. And I like the direction this one goes in. It's a bit fresher in a way. I wanted something floral for Monday. It was a little bit rainy. It was kind of, it was cool. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to pull this one off, because this isn't just a night out scent. I think with the changes they made in this fragrance over the OG, adding ginger and geranium, made this a much fresher take. I shouldn't say much fresher, but it has a fresher take. It makes it more wearable in more situations, in my opinion. Now, what could be misleading with this scent is that it is a blue fragrance. I don't consider it a blue fragrance. I don't get shower gel. I don't get a ton of ambroxan. I just don't get that. So it can be misleading with the name and obviously the color of the juice being that sort of blue juice. I just don't get sort of, to me, this is a floral, spicy, really sexy scent. Still has the cardamom. Absolutely love this one. Yeah, that soapy clean vibe to it with the cardamom, that spiciness, the ginger, I'm getting the geranium, I'm getting all of that in addition to that La Nuit de l'Homme DNA. And they just, I mean, it's perfect in my opinion. They really did a good job with sort of staying true to the OG and kind of reinventing it a bit. Now, that leads me to question why they would even consider discontinuing this. Doesn't make sense to me. So as far, if you're within the community, this was a massive hit. People love it. But at the end of the day, with these retail juggernauts and these massive companies, if they aren't moving product like they expected, they will drop it in a second. This small sort of fragrance community is not enough. It sort of has to be a hit among the masses for them to consider this a successful release. So unfortunately, they must have not seen it as such. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of this one. If you guys can still get a bottle, get it. I wouldn't pay a crazy amount of money for it. At the end of the day, the OG La Nuit de l'Homme is still a fantastic scent and still worth owning. This one, I think, for today's sort of generation of fragrance enthusiasts, it's a nice change and it's a bit more modern. So, Monday scent, La Nuit de l'Homme Bleu Electrique. So on Tuesday, I went with one that I actually recently picked up in a cheapie haul video, and it's as I said in that video, Hall of Fame cheapie that I hadn't tried yet. So I was excited to try it, and it just turns out that I love it. I think for what I paid, even if I paid a little more, I'd still be happy with this. And it normally goes for around 20 bucks for 100 ml at the discounters, and at the rack stores, I was able to get it for around 14 on discount. Scent I'm talking about, CK1 Shock from Calvin Klein. Just beautiful, sweet lavender, super clean and fresh up top with the lavender and the clementine, cardamom, black pepper, basil, tobacco, amber. This is fantastic for $14 in my opinion. It's very sweet. It is, I wouldn't say cloyingly sweet, especially on the dry down. It dries down into sort of a really nice ambery sweet tobacco scent, but it has a surprising amount of depth, more than what I had expected. And I think the reason why I expected less from it was because it's a Calvin Klein fragrance, which Typically for me, there's not a whole lot going on with those scents. I usually only pick up a couple notes. They don't change very much. They're sort of linear. This one, on the other hand, being a warmer, spicier fragrance, I love it. And this, again, as I said in that video, my cheapy haul video, this one is more versatile than I think some give it credit for. A lot of people put it in their fall and winter lists, and I think it can work pretty much in 3 seasons: fall, winter, spring. So on those days that it's not cold, but sort of that transitional phase, and that's sort of where we're at here in the Northeast. We're in that transitional phase still, where we're getting more rainy days, and they're not necessarily warm, but they're also not cold. They're balmy, sort of in the 50s, high 50s. This scent is perfect. And yeah, it's just something a little different than your typical, kind of springtime fragrance, and I love it. As far as longevity goes on this one, I probably get about 6 to 7 hours, so not a beast performer by any means, but the scent is so good. I suggest it to anybody, particularly beginners who haven't really tried tobacco fragrances yet. It's a really easy tobacco to pull off. It's a sweet tobacco, and it's sort of blended well with the rest of the notes in the fragrance. So absolute gem of a fragrance. Don't know why I waited so long to try it. CK1 Shock from Calvin Klein. So this next one I would say is an absolute sleeper. You don't hear it talked about a lot. I have talked about it on this channel before because it's one of my favorite from the house, and it's one of my favorite in my collection. And this is a beautiful aromatic fougere fragrance. That's what it's classified as. And I absolutely love it. Scent I am talking about, Azzaro Pour Homme Nighttime. And I'm a fan of the bottle. I like sort of the all black bottle with the somewhat translucent. Oh man. Just really, really beautiful rhubarb when you first spray this. Along with that rhubarb, you're getting some bitter orange, some spiciness from the black pepper and the nutmeg. Oh man, and although it's not a note in this, official note in this, I do get lavender, so it does come across as sort of a barbershop-y fragrance, maybe a gentlemanly fragrance. I wouldn't say a mature fragrance by any means, because I think that bitter orange and the rhubarb up top adds some fruitiness to it, although it's not sweet. It's not super citrusy either, so there's a fruitiness with the rhubarb, although it's sort of a rooty rhubarb. It smells like you pulled it out of the ground and cut it open. But that bitter orange was the right way to go, I think, from a citrus standpoint. It doesn't push it into that sort of classic barbershop scent with like something like a lemon or bergamot up top. Yeah, it just perfectly balanced. I absolutely love this one. And this one also is a great transitional fragrance from spring to summer. This could work summer as well. I would say more at night. In addition to that, this is also a great nighttime scent. So the name Nighttime fits this because I think it's a fantastic day to night fragrance. So yeah, I love this one. I get probably about 6 or 7 hours of longevity, which I think is pretty good. I got this for around $20 at Marshall's, although you don't see them there that often. I just happen to see it. They do pop up at Burlington's from time to time, but I'll be sure to link this one down below, probably through FragranceNet. You probably get the best price on this, but I absolutely love this one. Again, this is, it's so good, guys. It becomes really addictive. If you haven't tried Azzaro Pour Homme Nighttime, I suggest you do. If you're a fan of barbershop fragrances, something a little different, something with a bit of a twist to it, definitely give this one a try. Azzaro Pour Homme Nighttime. So on Thursday, I went with a fragrance that you probably haven't heard of before. And that's what I want to try to do also with this channel, is not talk about the same old fragrances that we tend to talk about. I want to review newer fragrances for you guys, but my plan is to not buy every new release that comes out. I want to sort of take you along where my journey started, where it is now, where it's going, And I try to own fragrances that I enjoy. And if I enjoy them enough to feel like I can suggest them to you guys, that's what I want to do. And this is one of those fragrances. This is a fragrance that I blind bought. I looked at the notes when I saw it. I happened to be in a wedding and I was just kind of waiting for my suit, and I had just been fitted, and I happened to see the fragrances. And this scent is from a local designer in Boston. And I love this one. Gets compared to Terre d'Hermès, and to be honest, I prefer this. So if you like Terre d'Hermès, not the Eau Intense vetiver version, that's my favorite in the Terre d'Hermès line, but this is an alternative to the OG Terre d'Hermès scent I'm talking about, Joseph Aboud's Black Linen. Immediately you get the Haitian vetiver, you get the clary sage, and some fruitiness. I believe it's either blood orange or grapefruit. It's one of the two. I want to say it's grapefruit, but I think it comes across as like an orange citrus. But I want to say grapefruit is the note listed. This is fantastic, guys. I absolutely love this one. Now this one is it's a subtle fragrance. This is not a massive projector. It's not beast mode. This is when you have an important meeting, you have a job interview, you have something where you want to sort of smell great, but you don't want heads to turn. You want to sort of keep it close to the vest, keep it classy and not overpower the room. This is the perfect scent for that. It's incredible. I absolutely love it. Now, I had my wife smell it on me the other day, and I said, are you picking up this smell? And this was maybe an hour after I sprayed it. And she said, barely, I can't really smell it. But then a few hours later, I just happened to be passing her, and she said, wow, you smell great. What is that one? And I said, it's the same one that I had you smell earlier. So I want to say the sillage on this one can be really good. And it's not one of those scents, as I said, is gonna project huge, but if you catch it at the right moment, and which is why I like it, because I think it has a place in every collection. There are times where I don't wanna wear anything, right? Which is hard to believe because I own a ton of fragrances. But there are times where I just don't wanna be noticed for like how I smell. A job interview would sort of be a perfect example as to those times where you don't wanna smell like anything. You don't wanna turn someone off to how you smell. So it's a huge moment, right? You're trying to get a job, future employer, paycheck, and but you still want to wear something, you want to smell good. Absolutely check this one out, guys. And the OG Terre d'Hermès I think would be great for that as well. But there's just something about this one that I really enjoy. And I actually got this for around $40. I will try to link it below. The only place I saw it available was a Men's Warehouse, and there was another, I actually might have gotten it somewhere else, not a Men's Warehouse, but it is available there, but it was on sale somewhere else. So I'll link it down below. I think this is a totally safe blind buy. Again, if you're a fan of Terre d'Hermès, definitely check this one out. Black Linen from Joseph Aboud. So that brings us to Friday's scent, and I absolutely love this one. You want to talk addictive? This is one of those fragrances that when you wear it, you just want to keep smelling it. Perfect for the springtime, perfect for summer nights. This thing is, to me, sexy for a freshie. This I would much rather prefer over something like Sean John's 3 AM. And not that they smell alike, but I think this one is more versatile, and it's a unique freshie, and it adds sort of an element of incense that makes it a little different for a freshie. And I also think this one is super underrated and slept on. Scent I am talking about, Le Dissy Pour Homme from Issey Miyake. Intense. Man, okay. Not everyone's gonna like this. This is one of those scents that, and again, I think that's also why I sort of compare it to 3 AM, because 3 AM is a fresh fragrance, a summer freshie with a twist. And this is that. This has incense in it. Along with that yuzu that's used in a lot of the Les Disiporomes and their flankers. And that yuzu is notable because it's a really unique citrus, and it's a citrus bomb up top. Yuzu, bergamot, sweet orange, and mandarin orange are all citrus notes that are listed as top notes. But then you also get sort of, this thing takes you through a roller coaster of sort of transition and development, and this thing has a lot of depth. It's very unique. It has a lot of spices through the mid: nutmeg, saffron, cardamom, lotus. And then in the base you have that incense, but I get the incense immediately. So it has some warmth to it too as well from that amber and that incense, which is why this thing is a beast and would work in the evening as well for a lot of spring and summer nights. I think it's a super unique freshie. As far as longevity goes, I get about 7 to 8 hours and performs really well. And as I said though, this thing is not gonna be for everyone. That incense note might turn a lot of people off because it's blended with citrus and freshness and it can be polarizing. And the first time I smelled it, I was intrigued by it, so I wasn't sure how I felt about it. I didn't hate it and I didn't like it. So I was like, where am I with this? But as I wore it more, I sort of saw how unique it is and what it has to offer. So if you guys are at the point of your collection where you are looking for something that might be a little bit more daring and a little different, but also stick to sort of the DNA of Les Disiporomes with a twist, that's this one, Les Disiporomes Intense from Issey Miyake. So finally on Saturday, I recently did a video pitting this against another popular fragrance, another sort of what many consider a 10 out of 10 masterpiece fragrance. This one gets compared to that by many. I own both and I love both. And if you didn't see that video, the scent I am talking about, Gentleman Givenchy Eau de Parfum. Great atomizer on this. Ugh. Immediately you get whacked with that orris root, or the iris in this case. It's not as powdery as it is in Dior Homme Intense. And in that video I didn't pick a winner because I love them both, but I will say that I believe that the Gentleman Givenchy is way more versatile than that fragrance. Some might disagree with that. I think this is just where it's less powdery. It adds sort of more depth and elements to this fragrance than what that has to offer. That, if that one was a sort of classy, well-rounded, put together gentleman, the little brother of that would be this. I also get a bit more freshness from this one with the bergamot up top, where I get little to no citrus from Dior Homme Intense. And I'm not trying to compare the two again, but obviously with an iris-based fragrance and it being as close to that one, which is super popular, the comparisons are gonna happen. So, but this also does remind me a bit of Bentley for Men Intense. Much more subtle, much more pulled back, and much more wearable in my opinion. I am not a huge fan of Bentley for Men Intense, to be honest, but I love this one. It also has more spiciness with, along with that orris. There's cinnamon and cloves in the mid, and then as this dries down, you're gonna get vanilla, you're gonna get benzoin, patchouli, yeah. But the standout note to this fragrance is unmistakably the orris root and the iris, and which just makes it this super classy scent that I think could be worn day and night. I wore it on Saturday all day, and I love this one. I get really good longevity. I get about 8 to 10 hours, so depending on the day, and just super enjoyable, super classy. When I am feeling like, this gives me a confidence boost, this fragrance, and I can't really explain why, but it just makes me feel like I have my crap together. It's just one of those scents that just super well put together and makes you feel classy and like you know something that not everybody else knows. It's hard to explain, but you're not gonna smell like every other guy. You're not gonna smell like every other guy wearing Dior Sauvage or Bleu de Chanel, and I love those fragrances as well, but this is sort of where I'm at in my progression with fragrance and where I've sort of settled into what I'm sort of considering signature scent worthy. This to me is signature scent worthy. So if you're looking for a signature scent, consider this one. Now there are flankers to this and flankers to the Gentleman Givenchy in general that are really good, like Boisé, the EDT Intense. Those are great fragrances. People really enjoy those. This is my favorite. I have yet to try the Absolute Privé. Let me know in the comment section below if you guys have tried that one and what your thoughts are on that. But I love this one, Gentleman Givenchy Eau de Parfum. So that's all I have today, guys. I truly appreciate the support, all the love that you guys have shown the channel. We are approaching 800 subscribers. We are damn close. So I truly appreciate all the new subscribers, all the support, all the comments and the likes. You guys are the best. If you like what you saw today, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share this video, hit that bell notification so you are updated whenever I upload new content. But until then, have a great day and I'll see you in the next video.